What's going on, everyone? Swinging Bull here. Welcome to my earnings stream. Let me get my screen shared. There we go. Appreciate everyone joining. Today we have Cisco Systems, so it's ticker symbol CSCO. They're reporting earnings. And then we have SurgePays, that this ticker symbol SURG. So these two are reporting in about 5 minutes. I believe it's 4:05 p.m. Eastern on both of these. Cisco is kind of getting a move already. Let me zoom into the 1 minute chart on these things. And I hope everyone's having a good week so far. It's a swinging bull with PB alerts. And let me just go to Webull just for a second. Okay, so Cisco is getting some movement here. Don't think their earnings are out yet, so it's just some pre-earnings movement. Cisco supposed to report at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. The forecast EPS is 0.98. Forecast revenue is 14.61 billion. And here's a yearly chart on Cisco here. They've been rallying since April, as other stocks as well that are worth anything. But anchored VWAPs between 65 and 70, trading above that. It closed the regular session today at $70.40. And that's basically where it's sitting at here in after hours. And we got a couple minutes to burn here. So SurgePays, they report also at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Their forecast EPS is negative 0.31. Forecast revenue 17.09 million. So here's the yearly chart for them. They're trading under $5. They're trading under $3, but so considered a penny stock, if you will. They're trading right at their anchored VWAP. So we'll see what their price does when they release their earnings, and then we'll go from there. So going into the earnings, I just like to kind of go into their income statement and balance sheet and some of the fundamentals before the earnings actually come out. So like kind of what those numbers were going into the earnings. So Cisco had a trailing 12-month PE of 28.85. They got it also a trailing 12-month EPS of 2.44. They do pay a dividend, 2.3%. They got a free float of 3.96 billion. And let's just look at their financials. I know they're a solid company. So the past 5 quarters that they reported earnings, back to back to back, positive net income. Year over year numbers, when they could be a little bit better. The most recent earnings, they kind of rebounded a little bit from that. You can see their positive net income kind of slowly trending up here over the past 5 quarters. So it's a solid company. It's something I wouldn't mind having like in a longer term portfolio, just maybe to collect the dividend. And depending on how many shares, of course, we could create some income with the shares by writing contracts and stuff like that. But good company, fundamentally. Debt to assets only 63%, so that's good there. I'll go back to the sticks real quick. Sorry about that. Someone's calling my cell phone. Let me put them on mute. So here we go. We got Cisco. It's the 5-minute chart. It's 4:03 p.m. Eastern. We got just about a minute and a half before the data officially comes out. So we are getting some pre-earnings movement. Of course, the stock was down today 1.5%, as was the SPY and Triple Q also. I mean, they great pre-market. I mean, awesome pre-market. Opening move was bullish, and then it kind of just was downtrending for the rest of the day. But towards the end of the day, around 2 p.m., that's when the reversal started, if you want to call it the midday reversal, if you will. That did go down. QQ, not so much for QQQ, was kind of more flat. It rallied a little bit going into the close, but overall kind of just trading sideways after the downtrend earlier in the day. But SPY definitely had a reversal started around 2 p.m. and ran into close. So SPY is trading just above 645 right now. So just a little recap on the price action for SPY and Triple Q. Go back to the sticks here on Cisco. It did get a negative reaction. It's 404. So I wonder if their earnings maybe came out a little bit early. I'll check over here on the side, and as soon as we get EPS revenue, I'll let everyone know. Let me scroll down, and then after we go through these earnings, I want to go over something towards the end of the stream. I did start a $2,500 account challenge specifically for the wheel strategy, so I'll share some more details about that towards the end of the stream. But let's go back to Cisco. They're getting a negative reaction. Again, they were down 1.5% today. They're sitting here in after hours down 4%. So their data must be out. Also looking at SURG on the right side of my screen, they're also getting a negative reaction. They're down 12%. Their price action was pretty spotty today, just kind of trading on low volume. But I'll go back to Cisco. Initial reaction was negative. Looks like it's trying to come back up a little bit. We'll see if it ends up reversing quickly, or if it's going to take a second for a bottom to form, and whatever else is going on with it. So let me refresh my other screen and see if we got this data. It's 4:05 p.m. on the dot. Earnings correspondent always on point with giving this data out right on time. So let me just pull this over. Cisco's, again, their forecasted EPS was 0.98. They just reported 0.99. They beat by 1%, just barely. Kind of same thing with revenue. Forecast was 4.62 billion, and they just reported 4.67 billion. So slight beat on both of them. Year-over-year numbers, we got some little growth there. Same with the quarter-over-quarter, and that's for EPS revenue. Obviously, the stock's selling off right now, so as always, that leads me to believe it's probably guidance related. So as soon as I get some info regarding that, I'll let everyone know. But they did have a double beat as far as EPS and revenue, just a tiny beat. Okay, so more kind of in line in my opinion. But let me just scroll down a little bit more, and not seeing any guidance yet, but that's okay. I just want to look for some more info. Maybe we can get some commentary from the CEO or the CFO. And they did also announce that the Q1 EPS guidance is 0.97 to 0.99. The estimate for that was 0.97. So I suppose they increased it a little bit, but more or less, I think they're just kind of sticking with it. And for the revenue, let's see here, they see 14.65 billion to 14.85 billion versus the estimate of 14.62 billion. So it looks like they increased the guidance for Q1 of next year a little bit, but more or less the EPS revenue basically came in line. Like I say, slight beat, but we'll circle back to this in a minute. The implied move for Cisco was only like 4.75%. So it was only like a little over $3 was the implied move. So not really expecting a big move on this. Again, it closed the regular session around just above $70 a share. It's trading for 68 and some change right now. So it's kind of within the expected move that the market was pricing in there. Let me look at some other things here. This is going to be more precise data. And so again, the forecast EPS was 0.98 and they just reported 0.99. So 1% beat on EPS. The revenue, this is a little more accurate. The forecast was 14.62 billion. They reported 14.67 billion. So they beat the revenue by 0.3%. So not by a lot, but it does look like they increased the guidance a little bit. So maybe this is going to bottom out and go back up. We'll see. I'm going to go over to SURG here in a second. We'll talk about that. And then, like I say, at the end of the stream, I want to talk about that account challenge that I started because it's going to be super fun. I'm going to walk everyone through every step of the way, every single trade for that account challenge. It's basically using the wheel strategy. So I'll be selling cash secured puts and covered calls to create weekly or monthly income. And then I'm going to be doing weekly updates and step by step every trade I take, and we'll see how quick I can grow it. Now, the goal of the challenge is to beat the S&P annual average return by 3x or more. So that's kind of the goal. Not really trying to get too greedy with it, but I think for the wheel strategy, getting a 30% plus return on your capital at the end of the year is pretty solid. And at that point, again, you'd be 3xing the S&P annual average, pretty good there. So, but I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the stream. It's 4:10 p.m. Eastern. Both companies' earnings data should be out. SurgePay, there's just not a lot going on there. Again, it traded on low volume today, so you can see the price action was real spotty, lots of gaps everywhere. The average volume is only 83,000. Today they brought in about doubled that, but still, nonetheless, low volume. So that's when you're going to get the sloppy price action. But I'll check the data anyways and just kind of see what we got here, if we got anything. So let me come down here. So it initially came down to $2.55, and then it popped right back up to where it closed at. So SurgePays closed the regular session at 2.90, and it's sitting here in after hours at 2.90. So nothing really going on. But a couple highlights. They do have 30,000 plus stores. Let me see what else they got. 50 to 100% surge. And there are some pretty hefty price targets on this. Ladenburg Thalmann has an $8 price target on it. So, you know, that's kind of lofty. It's at like 300% from where it's at now. But I think investors really are going to be looking at the revenue for Surge, and just to kind of let everyone know like what they do. Their telecommunication services is the industry they're in. And they're basically a fintech company and a telecommunications company, but the company operates through two primary business segments: a mobile virtual network operator and a comprehensive platform services, are kind of the two things there. So the MVNO, which is the mobile virtual network, the segment is engaged in providing reliable, affordable, prepaid wireless services. Okay, so that's kind of what they do on one of their segments. So just a little bit about the company, and let's take a look here. They only got a 14 million float, so it obviously can run on low volume if it wanted to. Just going back here, they have had some good earnings reactions in the past. When they reported back in March, they had a nice rally, or I mean, kind of more of like a gap up, right? But this thing went almost to $3 from $1.30 when they did earnings in March. When they did earnings in May, they did pump up a little bit. They did retrace all the way back down, but they did go and continue to rally to the mid threes after that. And now it's just kind of trading below $3 right now. So not really getting much of a movement so far. It does look like that it tends to make a move maybe one day after earnings or something like that. Because you can see here on this day here on March 25th, which would be here, it basically gapped up the next day and turned into a pretty ugly doji with big wicks on both sides. But like I say, it went on to rally a little bit after that. So maybe that's kind of what we may see on this. I'm going to go back intraday. And yeah, again, there's just not a lot of volume on this. So this is the 1 minute chart, and you can just see how kind of sloppy it is. Just lots of gaps in between the candles and stuff like that. So I'll come back to that in a minute. Not really a lot going on with that as far as price action goes. But let me just double check before we go back over to Cisco. And then I'll let everyone know how to get to the Cisco earnings call. And I'll give everyone the link for that. Those usually start like around 5 p.m. Eastern. So we'll find all that out, and I'll let everyone know. Again, before I go back to Cisco for Surge, just a couple potential catalysts is the Clearline POS integration. Another catalyst is the AT&T 5G access. 250,000 SIMs monthly, and a $200 million revenue target is kind of like some of the highlights are, what investors are looking for. They also have a phone in a box launch, 9,000 plus store network, and a positive cash flow in 2025. So, but right now I'm not really seeing their EPS and revenue and stuff yet. So I'm not even sure if the data is out yet. Maybe Earnings Whispers had a little bit of a typo on the time. So I don't think that's actually out yet. So I'll go back to Cisco just real quick. Again, I know it looks like there was a bit of selling there, but not really a lot. I mean, it looks funny because of the candle. It kind of looks like there was a lot of selling, but I mean, it's trading just below 69 bucks. It's like right below where it closed at. So it's not as bad as it looks on the screen. All right, another thing, another kind of recap here is zero guidance upside. So it looks like they didn't increase guidance or anything like that. Let's see, their net income was positive $2.8 billion. So that's good. Also for Cisco, AI infrastructure orders from web scale customers topped 800 million, signaling massive momentum heading into fiscal year 2026. Well, we were going over their fundamentals earlier. I mean, overall, it's a solid company, even though they're not, getting any buying right now because of this earnings data, but they're not really selling off a whole lot either. I mean, it's only down 2%. It did wick down to $66 and some change, and that got bought up pretty quickly. So, and it's a dividend payer, so investors like having a percentage of their portfolio, and specifically in dividend stocks. And I'm sure this is in a lot of people's portfolio in their dividend section. So solid company. I've traded this many times before. I usually go the spread route. I usually trade spreads on this. I have willed it before because they do pay a dividend, so that would just create some extra income. If I was to get assigned shares, then I'd sell covered calls, and then I'd get the dividend income as well. So that's good. Couple more highlights here for Cisco, even though the price isn't really catching a bid or anything right now, but nonetheless, the Q4 product orders up 7% year over year, with growth across all geographies, demonstrating robust demand for Cisco's technologies. Also, AI infrastructure orders taken from web scale customers exceeded 800 million, and we had mentioned that before. And that's bringing the fiscal year 2025 total to over $2 billion, more than double the original $1 billion target. So they beat their target by double. Here's some commentary from the CEO. His name's Chuck Robbins. He said, we delivered a strong close to fiscal 2025, driven by our accelerated innovation and solid execution. That was said by Chuck Robbins. He's the chair and CEO. The AI infrastructure orders we received from web scale customers in fiscal 2025 were more than double our original target. Okay, we actually just went over that. So he's kind of saying the same thing, indicating a massive opportunity ahead as we lead the required architectural shift and build the critical infrastructure needed for the AI era. All right, and so that was said by Chuck, the CEO. Couple comments from the CFO. His name is Mark Patterson. So in Q4, revenue, gross margin, operating margin were at the high end of our guidance ranges. So that's good. Earnings per share was above the guidance range, and we delivered solid operating cash flow. And that was said by Mark Patterson, the CFO. He also said, as we enter fiscal 2026, we remain focused on making strategic investments in innovation, driving durable, profitable growth, and delivering shareholder value. All right, so that's some nice comments from the CEO and CFO. Again, their earnings weren't anything fantastical, where there's people jumping in on the trade now. Of course, it's down in after hours, but again, it's not down a ton. It's only down 2.7%, less than $2 a share. So, kind of a drop in the bucket. It's a $70 stock. So, we'll just kind of see if the selling going to ramp up a little bit more for the remainder of after hours. we really don't know, but there is some buying coming in on the level 2 order book here. Let me look at the time and sells real quick. Yeah, I got some green every now and then. Got some orders on the level 2, whether they get filled or not or pulled, we don't know, but there's a order of 10,000 at the $67 level. We keep our eye at 67. That'll put the price just above the after hours low. So we'll see if that order gets pulled or it actually gets eaten up or what. But nonetheless, it is showing a little bit signs of life here after it wicked down to 67.70. So it looks like that dip was bought up, and now it's holding steady around the mid $68 level. This is a 5-minute chart here. I can go to 1 minute since it's, the earnings data just came out. So it looks like it's trying to print some higher lows. So maybe it's on to something here. Let me look and see what some of these fib levels are. Just draw this from up there down to here. So it's sitting at basically 50% of the retrace, which means take into account the selling that just happened when it came down to 66.70, measure that move, and it's sitting 50%. So, hey, it's showing signs of life. At least it's, some of these stocks, we'll see it sell off and it just struggles to even even break above this 25% retrace. And Cisco had no problem reclaiming that level, as well as the 38% level, which is around $68 a share. And again, now it's just trading right. It retraced 50% of that selling. So it's just sitting right here in the middle of that range. And we'll see if we can take out some more of these levels. Next level up would be $69 a share. That's probably what I would be looking at. So resistance number 1, $69. Resistance number 2, I'd put that right at $69.50. And then, of course, if you want to add in a third level there, that'll be the top of the move before it sold off, which is around $70 a share. So those are my resistance levels for after hours, at least on the shorter term looking view here. Support levels, those are going to be very easy. I'd put S1 at 68, S2 is 67.50. And then if you want a third support level to keep your eye on, it's the after hours low. Okay, just keep that one simple there. So we went over some commentary from the CEO. We went over some commentary from the CFO. Let's find out what time that earnings web call is. And then I'll also get a link for everyone. So whoever wants to join it, you'll have that link handy, ready to go. I'm thinking their earnings web call is probably going to be at 5 p.m. Sometimes they're at 4:30, which is only in 8 minutes. So let me just check this out real quick. Okay, here we go right here. So here's the Cisco Investor Relations page. We'll copy this link for everyone, and I will put this on the bottom of my screen, make it easy for everyone to get to this web call. So I'm assuming most people are here for Cisco, okay? So I'll leave that link up on the bottom of my screen, give everyone a chance to screenshot it if you're interested in joining the earnings web call. And once you get to that link, just scroll down to news and events. You can see right here, August 13th, 2025. You got the conference call. You can see this hyperlink right here that says webcast. So I'm just gonna click on that and we should be able to get the time here. 4:30 p.m. Eastern. All right. So their earnings web call with the upper management, CEO, CFO, all that is at 4:30 p.m. Eastern in another 7 minutes. All right. I'll get the link for the earnings web call. And let me post this link in Discord too, just in case anyone wants to check it out there. So just post it in the live stream chat here for the Discord peeps. That link right there will take you directly to Cisco's earning web call, again, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern in about 5 more minutes. Let me check something else out here. I'm going to get the earnings web call info for Surge, just in case. There may be some people here for Surge. So let me get that for everyone, and I'll post that. And then it looks like I'll have enough time to go over my new account challenge I started yesterday. So I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun with everyone doing that. And let me just get the SurgePay earnings web call link first, and then we'll go over that. So this is straight from SurgePays investor relations page. Just a couple highlights about their earnings data. And they issues a revenue guidance of 75 million to 90 million in 2025 and 225 million to 240 million in 2026. Of course, once you get to this link, I'll post it in the comments now if anyone's interested here. There we go. So if anyone wants more information on their earnings data, go to that link, and then you can click right here and get that right there. Let's see if I'm going to move this over to the side just for a second. I want to go to the news and events section and find out what time their call is. It's either going to be 4:30 or 5. Okay, here it is here. Oops, I hate Windows 11 sometimes. There we go. All right, so here's their Surge's investor relations, and you can clearly see here, this is going to be the second quarter 2025 financial results conference call. Starts at 5 p.m. Eastern, so about another 35 minutes for them. And I'll put their link on the bottom of my screen real quick as well, and give people some time to screenshot it if they want to join. But that'll take you to the SURG earnings web call. And again, that's at 5 p.m. Eastern. All right. All right. Looks like we got some time to go over this new account challenge that I started. I actually started it on Monday, but I just wanted to give everyone kind of the details behind what the challenge is, what kind of trading are we using for the challenge, how much did we start our account off with for the beginning of the challenge, and any rules and goals and things of that nature. So I'm just going to go straight to the Discord into my alert channel, specifically for me and my trades. And let me just pull this over here, and I should be able to blow this up so you can see it better on my screen. There we go. All right. This is just a recap I posted today. I did a buy plus right strategy. I'll go over some of the trades I opened recently too. So this was a buy plus right strategy I did on Ford. I opened this trade up last week, actually. Their ex-div date was August 11th, which was this past Monday. So last week I bought a few hundred shares, and then I sold 2 covered calls. I know I didn't collect a lot of money on those covered calls, but hey, it was something better than nothing. That basically tied my shares up till August 15th, which is this Friday, which allowed me to be owner of record of Ford on Monday, August 11th. And so now I'm locked in to getting that dividend. Okay. So this is a solid trade. I'm actually profitable on my shares as of when I posted this today, and then got a little green on the covered call. I'm not really looking for the covered call to make a lot of money on that. But if Ford does go over 1150 on Friday, that's fine. My shares will get called away. You can see my cost basis was only 1123. So of course, if my shares get called away at 1150, then I'm going to make money on a little appreciation on the shares. I'll make 27 cents a share profit per share. And then of course, I will keep the premium I received on the covered call. So $7 times 2. So that's going to be another 0.14 in premium. And then also, don't forget, I get the dividend. The dividend payout is 0.15. So I'm already up to 0.41 here and basically credit. And so let's add the 0.15 for the dividend. So ultimately, if Ford is above 1150 on Friday and my shares get called away, I'll walk away with 56 cents profit per share. Okay, I got a few hundred, right? Didn't really do a big position size on this, but I figured I'd just kind of do a little dip and do a capture the dividend. So kind of in and out of the trade. I'm not trying to be married to Ford, even though I wouldn't mind owning it. Like I say, they pay that dividend. What I like doing is if there's a few months before their next dividend payment, I'll usually just wheel strategy. I'll run the wheel on it. But when we get close to that ex-div date, I'll put the cash secured puts on hold, and then I'll convert it to a buy plus right, which means you're basically skipping the cash secured put part and you're going straight into the covered call side to ensure that you own shares and you're owner of record by and on the ex-div date, and then that ensures you get the dividend. So this was just a simple dividend capture strategy. That's all it was. Okay, make some easy money. I mean, Ford is the easiest money you can ever make is probably going to be on Ford, as far as low emotion, low stress. Anytime Ford's trading around $10, you can always make money on this stock. Okay, I've rinsed and repeated so many times I've lost count. Okay, this is a spread trade I opened up yesterday. I alerted to all my Discord members. And okay, let's get to the good stuff, the wheel account challenge. All right, so here it is. This is the post I did on Monday. All right, so I'm just going to go over the kind of details of the challenge and what it means. Okay, so I'm starting with $2,500. All right, it's a wheel strategy account challenge. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to document my real-time journey of growing a small account using the wheel strategy, because a lot of people think you need like a huge account to run the wheel. You really don't. Okay, you don't need. I mean, you need a little bit of capital, but that's why I decided I'm just going to start this with 2,500. I think it's an account size that a lot of people probably have, and trading the wheel strategy, I just think it's a safer way to trade and a lot less stressful and a lot less emotional compared to traditional trading, trying to day trade SPY and all that stuff. But so anyways, I'm going to document my real-time journey of growing a small account using the wheel strategy, which is selling cash secured puts and covered calls to generate consistent premium income. That's kind of the thesis behind this account challenge. Okay, starting account is $2,500. All right, and I funded that account. It is funded. I took a screenshot, and I'm going to share my Fidelity account live when I do my streams, my weekly updates. I'm going to show full transparency and show you the actual Fidelity account in live real time. Okay, so starting account $2,500. That's what I funded it with. What's the goal? The goal is to grow the account steadily while sharing every step, every trade, and every lesson along the way. Okay. And a second part to the goal is I want to beat the S&P annual average return by 3x or more. All right, I've been trading the wheel strategy for years, and I usually some years 30%, some years 40%. One year I had 50% return on my portfolio. So these are great returns while remaining relatively safe compared to trading naked options. So that's basically what the goal is. We want to try and beat the S&P annual average by at least 3x. I think that's a pretty realistic goal. I'm not asking for some crazy goal that I want to double my account in 6 months or something crazy. So I'm trying to keep the challenge as realistic as possible, but still beating the S&P annual average return by 3x is still a great accomplishment. So that's what I think the minimum goal is going to be. If we can get 40, 50, 60% return on our money, then that's even better. All right. So the strategy is going to be selling cash secured puts on stocks I don't mind owning. All right. That's how we get started. We just kind of keep doing that until we get assigned. We're bringing in income the whole time we're doing that. Once we're assigned, then we sell covered calls on those shares, bringing in more and more income. And we just rinse and repeat that until our shares get called away. Then after shares get called away, then we go back to step one, and we're back on the cash secured put side. That's what I call the wheel fully rotating, right? The weekly updates, what are they going to include? Well, the weekly updates, I'm going to have the starting balance and the ending balance. So of course, my first weekly update, because I just started this challenge on Monday, my first weekly update next Monday, obviously the starting balance is 2,500, and then I'll have the ending balance, and will depend if I'm still in the trade. The first trade I did on Monday on this account challenge, it's an 18-day till expiration, and it would yield me a 4% return on my account in only 18 days. So that's already off to a great start on my initial trade. So anyways, that's going to be in the weekly updates, is the starting and ending balance. Also in the weekly updates, all my open and closed trades I'm going to go over. Hey, Lorenzo on YouTube. Yes, sir. We are live. I appreciate you joining the stream. So anyways, again, the weekly updates, starting ending balance, all open and closed trades, all the premiums I collected on a weekly basis and a cumulative basis, any lessons learned that I can teach, and then what the plan is for next week. All right. Why follow the account challenge? It's because you can see a small account grow with the systematic repeatable option strategy. I'm going to put I'm going to put Cisco's link to their earnings web call on the bottom of my screen, because I see some people asking about that. So look at the link on the bottom of my screen. That'll take you to Cisco's earnings web call, and that started 5 minutes ago. So anyways, why to follow is so you can see a small account grow with a systematic and repeatable option strategy. Simple as that. And also to be able to learn the wheel in a transparent and practical way. And also be able to ask questions and share your own trades for feedback. I'd be more than happy to give you my opinion on maybe some of your own wheel trades. What are the rules for the challenge? Start with 2,500 bucks. That's what I did. Stick to the wheel strategy only, and track every trade and decision, and of course focus on risk management. That's the rules for the challenge. All right. And again, the goal is to beat the S&P annual average return by at least 3x. And here's just a little graphic that kind of shows how the wheel rotates, right? But yeah, so that just kind of sums up what this account challenge is going to be. I started it on Monday. I already have my first trade open. I will be doing weekly updates. I'll be posting how much the account is growing on my X account. So if you want, go to my X account. It's at swingingbull_1. So again, the X account is swingingbull_1. That's my handle on X. And there's also a link in the description that you can just click on it and it'll take you to my X account. But go ahead and give me a follow on my X account, because I'm going to be updating that account challenge, the progress on how much the account is growing. I'm going to be doing weekly updates on my X account and sharing that with everyone to get the actual trades and the in-depth discussions on the challenge. That's going to be for the Discord people. So, if you want to, you want to be in, see all the way through this account challenge, just join the Discord and you can follow every step of the way. But I will be updating my X account as far as how much progress the $2,500 account is making as time progresses. But yeah, that's really all I got for today. Let me just check Cisco one more time. Lorenzo on YouTube, are we opening tomorrow's session below 70 bucks on Cisco? Good question. I would be leaning towards, it's trading below 70 now. It's trading at 68.50. One thing to consider is the price action, these candles that are printing right now. It looks like the bottom could be in. Around 66.70 was the after hours low. There was some dip buyers that bought that up. It went on to print some additional green candles, reclaimed quite a few of these levels, and it's sitting right above the 50% retrace. I would like $69 a share to get reclaimed. It's trading just below that now. $69 a share is right around where the golden ratio is on this retracement. So Lorenzo, if this breaks 69, I think it'll just start trending the other way. Maybe we get a nice trend out of it going into pre-market tomorrow, but breaking 69 is key. My confidence that this is going to open above 70 is not going to be that much if 69 doesn't get taken out. So basically, if it stays below, if it can't breach this 69 level, which just happens to be the golden fib level, 61.8% retrace, if it can't breach that, it's obviously going to close below. It's obviously going to open tomorrow below 70. But if that golden ratio gets taken out and reclaimed, $69 a share, I think the chances it could probably get back above 70. It's not really looking like a dead cat bounce. It's kind of printing some higher lows here on the smaller time frame. I would like the higher lows to carry on to the bigger time frames. Like right now, we're just watching the 1 minute. So yeah, it's making some higher lows and it's kind of trading sideways, maybe in accumulation phase or consolidation phase, looking for the next move up. But you know, it's already retraced 50% of the selling. So that's a good sign that this could, you know, very well go back into the 70s by tomorrow. But like I say, if that golden ratio doesn't get reclaimed, $69 a share, I don't, you know, I don't think the chances are good that it'll get back above 70, which means it'll probably still be below 70 by the time tomorrow's session opens. So hope that helps a little bit. Their earnings weren't bad, you know, they weren't really bad. On the other hand, they weren't really fantastical either. So there wasn't a lot of buying going on. But it is something to note that after the initial selling that came in, there were some dip buyers and the price is starting to stabilize a little bit. So we're just going to have to keep our eyes on it for the remainder of the after hour session. And then, of course, we got pre-market and then kind of go from there. But yeah, that's really all I got for today. Just mainly, you know, at the end here, wanted to go over that new account challenge that I started on Monday. It's going to be a lot of fun doing this challenge with everyone and going through every trade with a fine-tooth comb and analyzing everything and just watching it together, watching this account grow with a proven strategy. Okay, so. And I also want to prove that it can be done on a smaller account. So that's another reason why I wanted to do it. So again, if you want updates on the $2,500 account challenge that I started on Monday, feel free to follow my X account. I will be doing progress updates on there. And then, of course, for a more deep dive into the account challenge, where you get to live stream with me and I go over all my trades live and share my screen and everything, just join the Discord and then tag me in the chat and I'll come by and say hello. But yeah, if you do end up joining and coming to hang out, I definitely look forward to meeting you. My name's the Swinging Bull with PB Alerts. Don't forget to give my X a follow, and I'll see everyone in the very next stream. Cheers, y'all. Bye.